What is up, guys? Team Movement here with the deck profile of the Break Ride version of Shadow Paladins.
Get him, Tom.
Alright, guys.
This
what
guy,
you have here?
beware, guys. This deck is all full of one-ofs, and this will not work for you. I'm warning you right now. But surprisingly, this deck has gotten top 4 every single time it's gone in tournament. Or higher.
Except
Or
for
higher.
This Wednesday.
One-offs
Until
master.
this Wednesday.
Ah,
but
because
it's
you
all good.
lost the one shadow player who doesn't play any fucking one-offs.
Yeah, too consistent for my ass, and Mordred kicks me. Alright, guys.
Yes.
Well, this deck is a 100% pure setup deck. What you have here is your 2 choices of starters. You have the Great Full Bow Brave and a Judge Bow Revenger. Everyone knows that card is the greatest +1 in this deck.
What, Judge Bow?
Yeah.
If you do it correctly, you can plus 4.
Yeah, that's the thing. But this deck has massive pluses. Judge Bow combos with your main grade 3s, which is Phantom Blaster Dragon, Break Ride, not the other Phantom Blaster Dragon, and the Revenge of Phantom Blaster Abyss. Both of them having Phantom in their name. Gust Blaster is the only one that's not Phantom, but in this deck it's supposed to run 1 Gust Blaster, 3 Break Rides, and 4 Abyss. The Abyss actually sets up for the Break Ride, not the other way around. You don't play the Break Ride first and then into Abyss. You can, but it's not optimal for the deck because of soul problems. You will never have enough soul in this deck. What you do in this deck mainly is you set it up by playing Abyss first, and you could either Stride or Legion. But the point is, you would, if you Legion first, you can go and Stride later, which would provide enough soul for the Break Ride. Otherwise, it would be very, very hard to get the Break Ride. Also, this deck has the Stride cards, which are very, very powerful. Pretty standard in this one. Mine takes out a single Madu.
I love Madu.
Abuses your Legion. When you stride onto Legion, you can grab back any of these grade 3s that are in the graveyard. Preferably the Legion you would grab back, or you could grab back the Break Ride, depending on what card you pitched off for the stride. It's all good. Hey, Legion is amazing still. You play 1 Recruiter, because usually you only go into it 1 time. I preferably go into it the first stride, because that's the only time they could ever hit, and you would actually eat a perfect guard if possible. You play 4 Aura Geysers. Card is super amazing. When you're swinging, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast.
Are they all SP?
Yeah, these are all
Making me feel
SPs.
poor over here.
But yeah.
By the way, guys, we have a philosophy here. Always ride the SP. Make your opponent feel poor, even if they win.
But how do you lose when you only have SPs?
Exactly, right? They'll always float to the top of the deck. It's a curse, and I love it.
That's right. We all like, wait a minute. Stride. They shouldn't be in the deck.
But Aura
That's how you
Geyser,
cheat correctly.
best stride in this deck by far. And if you're running out of soul, you blame this guy. Because you have to soul blast every single time you use his effect, but it's totally worth it.
Because having a hand is worth it.
Yeah, and especially in this deck. All you gotta do is kill off 2 units. You counter blast 2, you counter blast 1, kill off 2 units, soul blast 1, and you get to draw 2 cards. Well, technically you're not drawing 2 cards. You're getting the next 2 cards of the deck, and you reveal them to your opponent. If they're grade 1s or lower, you add 5k for each of them to his power before you drive check your triple drive. So that's 5 cards to your hand that turn. And if you happen to use the grade 1 Sharon, which combos with blaster units, and all of your grade 3s are blasters,
So
it
free.
combos off of it. And so instead of sacrificing 2 cards, you're only sacrificing 1. So in sense, that's plus 1 more extra card for your play. But what you have is
The Japanese
Orgeyser
one?
keeps netting you cards. You only need 2 Diablos because in a game you only have to go into Diablo once.
Yeah.
But everyone knows what this guy does. You counterblast 1, and as you swing, you kill off 3 units, and your opponent has to sacrifice 2 units in order to guard. If not, they cannot guard,
And they
he
die.
only has 10k in a crit, so they're dead people.
Tommy, let your dreams be dreams.
Dreams be dreams. This is the easiest play to set up. Once your opponent is at 4 damage, if they have 3 or less units on board, they are dead. Sometimes, if you're lucky enough, 4 units, they're still dead. You wipe out all the 3 units on board, they cannot block. They're dead.
I prefer to call that play.
The hyper sack due to thankful one-ups in this entire game.
I want to see this.
This deck, core of the deck, thankfully there's a core part of this deck.
Somewhat.
Which happens to be the 6 Blaster Darks in the form of 3 Blaster Dark Revengers and 3 Revenger Abysses. They combo off of your only 2 Dorans in this deck because you are here to abuse the stride component of your deck, which once you stride, you have access to the power of Dark Heart Trumpeter. A glorious grade 1 with the skill of soul blasting 1 card at generation break, and you can grab any grade 1
Can't say
or
anything,
lower
Taco.
It's on all bases.
from your deck.
You've lost to at least
Add it
once.
onto the field. So you can add your choice of Sharon, which you only play 2 of in this deck, or Masquerade, which is a Revenger, thankfully, which you also only play 2 of in the deck. Unfortunately, your 4 perfect cards are going to be Karma Collector, because this deck is super Counterblast heavy. So yeah, you're going to need that for the unflipping of damage. Unfortunately, none of these cards are Revengers. So what you have here is a total of 9 non-Revenger cards and only 4 Revenger grade 1s. But fortunately, if you play the deck properly, you will always have Revengers for the turn that you play Abyss.
It won't work for us.
Motherfucker.
Hey,
Look.
I'm
Wasn't
letting them
wasn't
know.
there a right way and what was the other way?
There's a right way to play the game, and then there's my way of playing the game, which happens to be this way, which is super greedy. You also play 1 Skull Witch knee main. Hyper Greed sets up your
The main text.
yes, no main text all the way, except this guy always plays 2 no mains.
I'm
Sets
a
up for your Aura Geysers supremely well if you play it on turn 3. Skull Witch for Counterblast 1, draw 2, then Aura Geyser, you kill the knee main and whoever's boosting it. Extra cards. You usually save the single Wily for the turn that you Abyss. It's super useful. Same as Tyrannin. He's not exactly necessary for the deck, but if you ever get him to go off, that's pretty much game.
And if your opponent has no rear guards, they cry.
You keep double Maka in this deck because if you ever run into a Shadow Paladin mirror match, this is your best friend. It will keep cards on board so you will never have to die to the other guy's Diablo while you kill their asses with your own Diablo. Trumpeter sets up for the greatest of plays. You can Trumpeter into full bow for that turn. You basically, if you stride on your first turn, you can go Trumpeter. If you started with Judge Bow, you can do Trumpeter into full bow, activate full bow's effect, get another grade 3 for your next turn of stride. Or if you happen to play your Break Ride, you can full bow into Abyss, because all you're looking for are blasters, which also fortunately combos with your Blaster Dark Revengers. Because if you have Doran on board, you can also grab Blaster Dark Revenger.
Call that a 36 piece.
At the end of the day,
2 biscuits.
this is a super toolbox deck. The only standard cards are the Blaster Dark and the Trigger lineup, which is almost standard except for a
The one
single
stand.
teched out stand, which is probably the god card in the entire deck.
This is the fucking Exodia of Vanguard.
It is the Exodia Vanguard.
You
no
might get
lie.
the standoff once, or the purpose
All
of
you
his free
need
cards.
is everything goes in the stand. You
Yeah,
play
absolutely,
your
trigger
4
lineup.
heal triggers standard, 8 crits standard, 3 Howl Owls, which is also a core of the deck. If you want to play 4 Howl Owls, that's
Because you want to
great.
build soul, just in case.
The soul charging is extremely necessary for this deck. But back to the ace card of this deck.
What do you like to call it?
My baby tech. Yeah, this is my baby tech. It wins so many games. Stand Trigger's G-Break effect is probably one of the best G-Break triggers in the entire game. What happens is, if this card is on board, its axe skill,
Rest
you
it.
rest it sideways, and then you stick it on top of the deck, shuffle the deck, and then the next 2 cards you look at, you can call them out on the field. Only downside is they come in rested. But thankfully, this deck is only for toolboxing. If you happen to toolbox in the Skull Neo main, of course, Counterblast 1, pitch a card, draw 2 cards. Mana, that's 2 more cards on board. Tyrannin will set you up for the Abyss play, if possible.
Sharon.
Sharon will get you an extra card, obviously. Dark Trumpeter will also net you an extra card. And if you are in a huge bind, you can also Dark Heart Trumpeter into a stand trigger, which will also net you another 2 cards. And yeah, all of it goes into a heavy combo, and if you get off any of the Blaster Darks, you can blow up extra units or get extra unflips that turn.
You're evil.
To set up for extra super combos.
You're evil.
Hey, this is okay, fine, I'm evil. But that's besides the point. That is besides the point. The point is this deck is the ultimate toolbox, and in any situation, you can search out for any of the options that you need to win a game. And that's my deck profile.
And the 2 Gust Blasters.
No, it's supposed to be 1 Gust Blaster. You only need 1 Gust Blaster in this deck. I have only 2 because I don't have the 3rd one at the moment.
The 3rd Break Ride?
Yeah, the 3rd Break Ride. Because the Break Ride can search for any of these blaster units. So...
And you got my dude Adam Mayaki back again.
Exactly. I stride away the Gust Blaster and I set it up. Preferably, this deck is set up to play Abyss first, you Legion, you get enough Soul, play the Break Ride, and then you stride. And then afterwards, if you Break Ride into Gust Blaster, you can activate the Break Ride's effect. Gust Blaster with the Break Ride basically says your opponent cannot Perfect Guard. And if you Legion first, before you do this play, you will have, at minimum, 3 Blasters in Soul, which equates to plus 15k for Gust Blaster, plus 3 crits, plus 10k from the Break Ride,
and the booster.
And whatever your booster is, and they cannot Perfect Guard. In other words, you are eating, at the minimum, 4 10k triggers. At the minimum.
Gust Blaster.
Or 5, sometimes. It depends on the scenario.
Yeah.
You're rude!
So yeah, this deck is super crazy. And as mentioned earlier, it is not for the faint of heart.
Alright guys, keep moving. And do not copy this deck. No net decking, guys. You will lose. Team Movement signing off.